first guest of the day, the President and CEO of the Enterprise Group of Jackson, Tim Rogers. Morning, Tim.
Morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Surviving.
Yeah, so your biggest concern has been getting your hair cut.
Yeah. Yeah, like I told you, I've been practicing on myself, so just little pieces at a time.
I think when the salons reopen, it's going to be backed up. People
Oh, yeah.
3 months
I'm
worth
sure they'll have to have appointments and everybody will be
Yeah.
sitting in their cars. And
Oh yeah, it's gonna be.
I wear a ball cap most of the time. I told you, I sent you an email, I might wear my ball cap this morning.
I think that's acceptable. But this has been really occupying Enterprise Group's time since it started. This has been your full
It really has.
Focus.
We've been, I won't say overwhelmed, but given that one of our staff persons had a baby a couple weeks ago, so we're kind of small anyway, so we're down one person, and we were blessed in a way that the whole extra work really started when Patty and Eric decided they wanted to give that $1 million out, and the Community Foundation, Jackson Community Foundation, and ourselves were kind of tasked with setting up a system to do that, which we really didn't have anything in place before. So we've kind of become joined at the hip with the Community Foundation and with the guys at Lean Rocket Lab, and putting together a review application process, and we learned a lot in that. And then during that period, we had the MEDC that came out with their grant program that they delegated down to the county level. So we had 2 of those going at once, and I would say we've learned a lot. We've become very efficient. You guys both know Debbie. She's running all of our accounting out of her office in her house, and we meet 2 or 3 times a week in Polly's parking lot, and I sign checks and do our social distancing thing. But so far, it's all been working pretty well.
And those applications, you've made them really simple and easy. It's for a small business to navigate the SBA application process is daunting, but what you've done with the Dreammaker Fund and the MEDC, it's just a few questions.
Right. The intent was make it simple, try to address, and obviously now we're 8 weeks into this, but try to address those day-to-day monthly expenses that small businesses need to get through, and not to take care of their 6-month needs, but how do we get the rent paid, how do we pay utilities. So that was really how we did that. The most work we asked for the small business was to do a 30-day budget so we could kind of see, because for the Dreammaker Fund we had almost 800 applications and we're only able to fund 300. With the MEDC dollars we had almost 400 applications and could fund 45. And now, which we started last week, the Consumers Energy Foundation gave us another $200,000, and the focus really is on very small businesses, under 25 employees, with a focus on minority and women-owned businesses, and trying to look at those that maybe fell through the cracks. So we're having our first Zoom meeting this week to go over those. I think we already have 60-some applications for that program too. But again, try to make it simple, not a lot of work, not a lot of paperwork. Small business should be able to do it in 20, 25 minutes, I think, at the most. So it's hopefully making a difference. But the longer this goes, there's not enough money to keep paying rent and utilities for 3, 4, 5 months. So we need to get back to some sense of normal.
That's a great point, and what you're talking about $1.5 million, give or take. How hard is that? How hard was it for you guys to not only award that, but to get all that money out as quick as possible?
Actually, the process worked really quickly. We have 5 people. All of these programs had 5 review people, and we kind of did the yes/no discuss process, and some of them were no-brainers, and some of them didn't fill out all the paperwork, and just like in any program. But once we got that list together with the Dreammaker Fund, we had a follow-up where if they were denied or they didn't fill out the application, They got a follow-up from some of the consumers people that have really educated themselves on all the different small business programs on there. So we tried to make sure we had a touch point, whether you got the money or didn't get the money, to try to help. But the money went out as soon as we approved it, and I could get to Polly's and sign checks. The money went out within a couple days. Only glitches we've had so far is the post office is like everybody else. I think we've lost 3 or 4 checks in the mail and had to reissue checks. And our biggest pinch point was we ran out of checks, and then we had to get more checks printed, which seems like it should be an easy thing, but it's not. But our partners in Huntington really worked hard to make sure we got our checks quick so we could get them in the hands of people. So it's not months, it's days. Once it gets approved, we get together, sign the checks, and get them in the mail. So.
Yeah, well, it's a fund that other communities don't have, the Dreammaker Fund and the secondary fund for minority and small business. We are blessed in this community having that ability for small business to
we
have
are,
it.
and for the, I'll do my advertisement for consumers, for having the people that are involved at the decision-making level at consumers that are also involved, invested in the community. They care. They know these companies. They know a lot of these people. I can't say enough about Patty and her husband Eric. Were involved all the time. If we needed anything, they were right there to give us answers. And the same with this new fund. Carolyn's been great, and you guys know you've worked with Carolyn a lot too. Pretty much saying, you know how to do this. So I have the money. You guys know the process. You have the community input and the people reviewing this. So we've kind of formed some good partnership. And I will say the Lean Rocket Lab guys have been great too, because there's always glitches with technology, right? And this line didn't work, or that column's in the wrong place, and they're right there to help us fix it, because there was no template for this. We had to figure it out and make it work. So.
What are you hearing from some of your investors as far as kind of just struggles with the reopening phase?
I think it's kind of all over the board. The governor allowed manufacturing to open again, but there's been a substantial number of manufacturers that never quit because they were involved in making medical device pieces, or switched over, like Ronnie at Technique said, well, if you need masks, I'll make masks, right?
Sure.
That picture that he sent out where his welders were now sewers. I thought that was just awesome. I sent him a note right away. He said, hey, we got to be flexible. That's the, I think the cool thing about this community, because we have so many prototype shops. They're always positioned with a challenge, right? A company comes to them and says, I need to make this, and how are we going to make the first one? And that creativity that we have in our business space here has served us well, I think. So now I think the issue really is those that are reopening now is, how do they put those practices in place? Where do they find the masks? Where do they find the things that they need to be able to meet, the letter of the law as far as reopening goes? So it's kind of all over the board. I would tell you from an investor standpoint, most of our investors, we have a diverse set, obviously, from small to big business. But I think the people that have been hurt and hit the most are the smallest businesses, because they ask the question, why does Joe drive past my clothes store to go to a big box store to buy the same thing they could buy in my store? Yeah. And I don't have the big box cash flow to be able to pay my rent and pay my utilities. So I think there's a lot of ambiguity out there right now when it comes to those things.
Can we close the big box stores for a month and just flood everyone to small businesses?
Yeah, I don't want to get into politics, but I went to buy, my wife's honeydew list was quite long, right? Paint this, do that. And I went to buy paintbrush, and I couldn't buy a paintbrush, but the next aisle over I could buy a screwdriver. So I didn't quite get that, but whatever, we worked through it. But you could go over to Ace and get a paintbrush. So,
sure.
So I frequented our local Great Lakes Ace way more than I have in the past.
Tim Rogers from the Enterprise Group with us. More on the morning show after this.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation, But blood is desperately needed now to save lives of people who are sick with a range of serious illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
Come see why Art Main is the #1 choice for service for so many Jackson drivers. At Art Main, you know you're getting quality work and quality technicians at a fair price. That's why so many of our customers come back again and again. Whether it's a simple oil change or full body repair, Art Main makes it easy with our online service scheduling. We can even text to keep you up to date.
Come see why Art Main is the largest express facility in Jackson County.
Budweiser would like to take this time to say thank you to all our frontline and essential workers who are all working hard to keep us safe and our world moving during the COVID-19 pandemic. From everyone at Budweiser, this Bud's for you, and thank you.
During this crisis, while most of us are at home, our doctors, nurses, and hospital workers, our paramedics, police, and firefighters are putting others ahead of themselves. My family and the local owner-operators of Big B Coffee are grateful to you. So show your work ID at a local Big B and get a cup of coffee on us. It's a small thing, but now, more than ever, we want to say thank you.
Community members wanting to encourage patients at Henry Ford Allegiance Health who are diagnosed with or suspected to have COVID-19 are encouraged to use the Well Wishes feature on the health system's website. Share your words of inspiration, and HFAH will display them on the TV monitors in patient rooms. The process is simple, quick, and will help brighten someone's day.
Jackson Public Schools Kindergarten and Young Fives Roundup is underway. During the school closures, you can enroll your student online or call one of the schools to receive assistance for enrollment. Please visit the JPS website, jpsk12.org, for more information. Go Vikings!
We're driven to be the best. We're Jimmy's Towing.
Breaking down is always inconvenient, and you never know when it's going to happen. From lockouts and flat tires to jump starts, Jimmy's Towing is on the job 24/7, 365. For fast response anytime, anywhere, the name to remember is Jimmy's. Save our number in a safe place, and if you're in an accident, request Jimmy's Towing.
We're driven to be the best. We're Jimmy's Towing.
Welcome back to the morning show presented by the Pick Center, and we have Enterprise Group CEO Tim Rogers with us. And Tim, we were talking about consumer spending. It's about 70% of our GDP in the country, and a lot of Americans have lost their ability to consumer spend. How do we get that back?
I think it's going to be a slow process. You hear on the national level, well, there's going to be a V. I think it's going to be more of a U. People are. They've had 2 months to sit at home and think about the worst case scenario, and it's going to take them a while for us to all say, well, I'm willing to go out and take a risk and go do this. I have a son, which I know we've talked about before, that is in charge of breweries in St. Louis, and we were having this conversation yesterday because St. Louis is going to open up again, and I said, good, you can get back to doing things. He goes, Dad, how many people are going to want to come and have a beer and just sit next to somebody else, unless they're sitting outside, social distance. He said, in our business planning, we have to plan that this is going to be for a while. Our cash flow is not going to come right back. So, I think it will happen, but people are going to have to get a comfort level with that. And, maybe we need to look at, one number I try to look at every day, I know you talk about your numbers every morning, is the number of cases that are testing positive, not just the number of cases that we have. And in Detroit especially, but even the state as a whole, our positive test numbers are like below 8%. Mm-hmm. So that means the big numbers that we're always focused on, you get scared about. But the fact of the matter is, the low positive test says there's a lot of people that have some kind of cold or symptom, but they don't have the virus. Mm-hmm. And I think as we start to work through that and more things open up and people get a little more comfortable with being out in the public, that will come around. But you know, I don't know how you can't really incent people. Your personal health you put a dollar amount on it. You can't do that. So I don't know. It's a different time.
You got a couple of pieces of good news. In the past week, you were awarded a Brownfield grant by the EPA.
that was great news for us. The Enterprise Group, the staff at the Enterprise Group is very well known for doing those jobs and doing them very well. If that's one reason we got a grant this round. We've been skipped over. The last one we had was 2015. So we're really pleased to be able to do that. I should note I've had several questions from people saying, well, it says it's just going to be 2 wards in the city, which isn't true. Those are kind of our focus areas. You have to write a grant around that. But like the past grants, projects across the county will be eligible for those funds as they, propose redevelopment of brownfield properties. So in 2015, I think that $300,000 leveraged about $14 million in new investment and 250 jobs. So, we're looking out, as much as we have an immediate concern, we also have to look into the next 2 or 3 years. And that $300,000 will definitely be helpful as we continue to redevelop around those challenge sites in Jackson County.
Are we still going to see economic development activity the way, in ways you've done it in the past, in the future?
I think a lot of things will change. Technology will drive a lot of this. We still see RFPs from companies looking to expand and make new locations. And again, it's that immediacy of what's the challenge today, but we still need to know that we're going to survive this. And there's 3 years out, 4 years out, 5 years out. Business people always have to look ahead. While they may worry about the payroll today, they also have to worry about what am I going to build for tomorrow and the next month and the next year. And so people are planning for what they're going to do. And that's why we didn't stop when we were working on the industrial park, because this came up. We actually pushed through and got our application into the EDA about 2 weeks ago now. And because the EDA got some more money out of the CARE Act, we may be in a better position to be able to develop that park and not have to go borrow any money. But again, that's while we're focused on what's this week and how can we help business today, we also have to be looking 2 and 3 years out. And that's sometimes hard to do, to take the time out to look further down the line, but that's what groups like ours have to do. So,
do you think there will be more MEDC money because we had that first round of $10 million?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of doubt it. Their financial situation, they shifted money that they already had to do those grant programs, and I don't. Their budget situation's as bad or worse than every unit of local government, so I doubt there'll be more money. Their process was not very well thought through, I don't think. I mean, it was great to get the money, but, and people were all excited, $10 million, and it sounded like a lot, but then they allocated it by county, and, we got 142,000. So. It made a difference for those people that got the dollars, but again, 250 of those applicants didn't get anything. So I doubt there'll be more money at the state level. I can't, they haven't been able to collect gas tax and, sales tax, and it's impacted everybody.
Yeah, all the revenue sources are.
And you look at our own units of local government. I mean, the county had to furlough people, and school districts are being put in that position, and so
numbers don't lie, do they?
No, and that's why I said things I don't think are going to go like this. I think it's going to take some time to work its way back. There's the new normal. I know you're going to talk to Jeff in a little bit. We don't even know what the new normal is when it comes to school time or restaurants or whatever. So let's have this conversation a year from now, and maybe we'll all feel a little bit better about it.
Let's have it sooner than that.
Yeah, that's true. I'd like to have that conversation next week, Andy, but we know that's not going to happen.
Well, thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And the EG, they're open. They're doing their work in
Right.
Polly's parking lot, but
Yeah. If you see me in Polly's, you need something to stop me. we're sending out a kind of an update this morning with all of our email addresses on it if you need anything. I talked to Brad Flora yesterday. He left me a voicemail on my office phone, and it goes right to my email, so I called him right back, and he goes, "Were you in the office? You're not supposed to be in the office." I said, "No, we're all very connected though. So if anybody needs anything, just email us or call our office phones. It'll go right to our cells. Or if you have our cell phone, you can call us too."
Great. Thanks a lot.
Sure, thank you.
Tim Rogers, the CEO of the Enterprise Group of Jackson. Jeff Bontrager,